Welcome to Darshan Talks, powered by the Kulkarni Law Firm.
Welcome to another episode of Darshan Talks. I have with us the formidable, and I keep looking for new adjectives every time I have him on, the formidable, or I could have gone with the indubitable, and I don't fully know what that word means, but I know it's a good thing. The indubitable Dave Bulger. And Dave has been a perennial favorite. He's come on. We talk a lot about AI and what it means, and he was one of the original people who talked about personalization in the life sciences. He did this in the 1990s. And now personalization has taken a whole new role. And the question really becomes, is it personalization or is it depersonalization, where the system will basically come out and give you the same rote answer irrespective of who you are? And in the world of life sciences, we need to be careful about whether we're giving patient advice or whether we're giving a sort of a general perspective, because you don't want to be crossing that line from I'm the pharma company to I'm your caregiver. And AI, and as much as pharma wants to use AI, it does risk this idea of are we crossing that line? So we're going to explore the types of AIs that are out there, a couple of big ones. The first one being this one you may have heard of. It's sort of really been under the radar, called ChatGPT. No one's really heard of it, but we'll just talk about that one. The second one being the AI that caused Google to lose, I believe it was $100 million within like a couple of hours. Bard. And then we have a special surprise, the AI no one's talking about, but really should be, which is Dolly. So we're going to start with Dave. We're going to let him introduce himself, tell us a little bit about his background in pharma, and then we'll get into sort of some of the things they're doing. So Dave, on to you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Dave Bulger. I've been in the tailored communication business for 35 years. Did a lot of work in the 90s. I started a company called Micromass Communications. And in the 90s, if you got a individually tailored behavioral support program with a pharmaceutical product, odds are we did it. It was based on a lot of research that Dr. Vic Strucker and I did together at the University of North Carolina back when we were both young and had more hair. But throughout the years, we've tried to leverage true conversational AI to help accelerate behavior change. And the pharmaceutical industry in the 90s was all about that. So Micromass focused on that. The rest of my career has been spent in various parts of the triad, right? Either working with the patient to the payer, working with the patient to the provider, working with the patient as a consumer, or again, working with the patient as a user of a pharmaceutical brand. So been doing this a long time.
So Dave, we talked a little bit, and we've had multiple conversations around this idea of AI, what it is, what it looks like. And what you and I talked about the last time was to actually do demos, to actually show people what the difference is. Oh. The key piece for those people who are wondering is, no problem. The key piece is these are different systems. The question is, I mean, for me, when I have to say this as a disclaimer, I have a little bit of an investment in Google, so I do have a stock portfolio in it. But the key piece to me was I thought Google would be the industry leader because they invented a lot of what is now AI. Interestingly enough, they came out recently and they said, we think it's best to go open source because we can't keep up with how good AI is right now. So I think Bard is a really good place to start because it shows what was originally contemplated. So to that end, let's bring up Bard. Yeah. So for those people who don't know Bard, I think, is Bard now available to everyone?
Yeah, I think you just go to bard.google.com and it works for does not like Google Cloud addresses, so business Google addresses, but if you have a personal one, it seems to be fine.
Cool. So, the reason, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
No, so I was saying the reason I raised the idea of of Bard is before we jump in, Dave, what is your overall take on Bard?
So in different ways, I love Bard. I'll show you. Here's why I love Bard. Right? So
Right.
baseball. So it'll think for a minute and it'll come up with a relatively decent answer, but I'm able to say so bad this season because Google is using libraries that are up to date as opposed to ChatGPT using an older large language model. And it kind of nails this, right? The problem, so this is why I love it, is now when somebody likes to give me a hard time about my Royals, one, I talk about the Chiefs, and that just saves Kansas City sports. But the second part is, you can be somewhat like, this tracks with my understanding. The problem I have with all of these is I don't know where they got this. So I can only use it for my benefit, right? Because I don't know, did this come from The Athletic? Is this a piece of an ESPN article? Like, where did they source this? Sadly, all 4 of those bullet points are accurate. Right? But, always next year. So that's, I like Bard because of the recency, right? And it just works. Now the challenge with it is you say, recap the Canes loss.
Well, hold on. Before you go there, I want to explore exactly what you have there. There are a couple other things that I like about Bard. Can you scroll up for a second?
Yep.
So the 3 things I like, well, we might have to go down for a second, but let's explore this individually. Number 1, I think Bard tends to give tighter answers, unlike ChatGPT. So if you're looking for a tight answer, like a quick, dirty, here's the result, I think Bard does a better job at it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I like that ChatGPT doesn't do a good job with is the view other drafts thing, which you can see at the bottom there. If you want to show them what that looks like. Yeah, so if you are looking for 3 different rephrasings of the same thing, I think Bard does a better job at it.
Yeah.
But there's a converse to the exact same things I just said here, which is if you're looking for a longer write-up, Bard's probably not the direction to go. I've tried a few different times to get it to give me a longer write-up, and I haven't been successful. Have you?
It is, yeah. I mean, by longer write-up, I mean it. I think stays. I've never gotten anything over 1,000 words.
I haven't gotten anything over like 500, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, because if you if I do something health related,
So how about give me a 1,000-word write-up on? So we can just say that. Give me a 1,000-word write-up on the use of ChatGPT in the life sciences. That's kind of pissing it off.
We could talk about the other one. Yeah.
Are you there, right?
Sorry, my mechanical keyboard proves that we're doing this in real time.
Okay, so let's see if we can count the number of words here. Can you copy this?
Yeah, I'll copy it over and throw it in another file and get a word count.
That's actually longer than I ever got it to go.
Oh, and it gave me a source this time. Yay.
It did give you a source from Indigene, which is pretty good. Now, I would like to then go back in and look at if that source actually says exactly what it does. Because one of the most common problems I've found with Bard and with ChatGPT is, I believe they call them hallucinations, which is,
they do.
Here's a citation. You click on the citation. It has nothing to do with what they claimed it was citing.
Yeah, we'll head over there. I'm going to get a word count real quick here. Let's see. Word count. It gave us 653 words.
Exactly. And that's been my experience more often than not.
Yeah. And so now if I go follow the link, Yeah.
Is that a good one? Personalizing. Okay. So it's not
Yeah, I
bad.
mean, it's the challenge on this is it's pulling from a blog that somebody wrote that had a point of view,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And so, again, as soon as you start introducing that, then there's the
Inherent
word right
bias.
there. Bias.
Yeah. What I found interesting as well, scroll down a little bit for a second.
Heard
It
this
says search related topics. So Google is not willing to let go of its traditional search model, the 10
No.
blue links.
No, and then I get a bunch of stuff. Now, I will say if I am the writer as opposed to the consumer, this is excellent.
Right.
Right? Because at some point I'm going to write a recommendation or I'm going to write a tip or something like that. And somebody in your department is going to ask me how I got that.
Right.
And when I go, well, 35 years of subject matter expertise, they go, yeah, and where else?
Right.
So, you have to be able to cite. And so the challenge I've had with the ChatGPT is then I have to go take something it's given me, again, as a content creator. I've had to take something it's given me and go basically Google it to figure out like where the sources are that back that up. So it just made it more work, not less. Although
I also find, but here's my question. I found it like I'm thinking back to the times I was writing term papers.
Yep.
And the most common mistakes in term papers is the fact that people just sort of write things and they don't cite them. And then you force them to go back and cite them. And they come back relatively quickly. When I say relatively quickly, I mean, what if the term paper took them a month to write? Within a couple of days, they can come back with the citations for it. So is it an inherently much more difficult lift? Or is it different? Is this sort of comparing apples and oranges because it was faster because they did the research in the first place, and up here they have to start from scratch all over again? So do you think it's an unfair sort of lift?
Unfair is probably it's not unfair. It is an impact to time and budget.
Fair enough.
Right. So, if I'm working for a brand and they say, hey, I need, 500 words on fall prevention, by Friday.
Right. That's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but I got to go and then I got to cite all that. Well, if I use ChatGPT, I've got to go find all the citations. At least in Bard, it will give me, the related topics so I can go find where they did it. It gives me the source to an extent, right? Mm-hmm. And so, it's like it's not unfair. It's just, how much time am I going to spend sourcing the product of ChatGPT versus just creating the content myself?
Now, what I find interesting about this is, if you notice, there's only one source. So is this just a rephrasing of that Indogene article? Or is there any kind of additional thought given to it?
I'm just doing a quick glance. Yeah, it basically paraphrased this article. Right, it says it differently,
right?
But some of it is, looks to be direct polls. So drug discovery,
right? So the question then becomes, okay, so let's say you do use this, you do get a rephrasing, if you will.
Yeah.
The big argument everyone talks about is also the SEO penalty. So the idea that, give me 500 words on ChatGPT in the life sciences, it gives this out to you. You go, great, I'll have my subject matter experts vet this, and assuming it's okay, I can use it.
Yeah.
The problem you have now is if you're going to use it for a blog or a some kind of summary, there are assertions that Google will deprioritize the write-up because it is essentially a regurgitation and is AI. The question, I have two questions that come out of that for me. The first one is, how does Google know? Now, in this specific instance, it might know because it created it. But the truth is, people talk about things like, I think it's like Zero GPT or something like that.
Yeah.
There are few ones out there that are allegedly plagiarism catchers.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure those plagiarism catchers are very good because there's no amount of like, because these are often responses to a specific question. So you ask the same question twice, you will get two different answers for the same exact question from the same exact sort of AI.
Yeah.
So I'm not convinced that it's as simple as that to do it. Though I hear some people are like, oh, I can tell when something's an AI. I have not been able to do that, and I write professionally for a living.
Yeah.
So
no, it's hard to tell at times.
So that was my first.
To tell when you say write like Hemingway, and you've read most of Hemingway, and you go, yeah, okay, it's kind of like. But.
Right. The other one that I still struggle with is let's say we do have it right. Do we? At what point are you allowed? Like, how much are you allowed to edit before it? Let's assume it can tell that it is an AI generated write up.
Yeah.
How much editing do I need to do before it is not an AI generated write up? And I don't know the answer to that question either.
Yeah, no, I think where I fall onto I'm okay with it is I take it and use it as source content and then I revoice it. Right. And so I put it in my voice. I might, re-emphasize some things. I might strike some things depending on the point I'm trying to make. And that's where being a decent prompt engineer really helps. Right. Sorry, that's something new. I've just noticed that people are looking for prompt engineers.
I know.
The bard whisperer, but I guess that's not sexy enough. So, that's where I think if you can structure it appropriately, you get enough fodder back for you to make it your own. So more of covering a song as opposed to plagiarizing a song, right? So
I'm not sure I follow, Dave. I'm going to let you re-explain that to me because yes, you can get a what I think of it is you get a first draft and then you can clean it up and all that good stuff. Yeah. But in the end, whether or not we like to admit it, a first draft is still a solid foundation.
Sure.
And you will inevitably not be able to completely eliminate that first draft from what you've constructed.
No.
So if that's true, when do I not pay that penalty? Is it one paragraph is changed? Is it a couple of lines are changed? You need a full sort of redo, in which case you might as well not have the initial write-up. Or is it something like, what is that magic line? I have no idea how to even determine that.
I think it depends on your ability to know whether the system is right or not is one part, right? So having subject matter expertise and looking at it matters. I think to the extent that, and this is to go back to your high school paper thing, right? One of the problems with writing a paper where everything's a citation, and you see this all the way through grad school, is like, where's your addition to all of this? And that to me is where I think this is just fodder for me to create a message without having to do, like, I might ask the same question 3 different ways, get 3 different responses, and then cherry pick what I like out of those to create either a reinforcement of a thought I've had or help gel a thought that I wanted to have but couldn't articulate. And so to me, again, not knowing where the information came from is problematic for documentation purposes. Knowing whether or not what's coming back is accurate is the bar we're at kind of now, where it's like, okay, this isn't wrong. I'm going to change it up, make it my own, and I feel good about not having violated anyone's copyright. I think the problem comes in when I just cut and paste this with no attribution. Then what you think as the reader is, oh, those are Dave's words.
So 2 parts to that. So number one, copyright. It turns out there's a lot of pushback on the copyright area because I think a couple of different courts have already ruled that AI doesn't get copyrights, and some courts are leaning towards AI doesn't get patents.
Yeah.
So the copyright issue may not be relevant. However, the plagiarism issue, to the point you're making, still remains relevant.
Sure.
But I think I was also coming at it from the perspective of SEO, of search engine optimization, for those people who don't know what that means, which is I create the write-up, I put in my original thoughts. So, for example, there's a discussion on bias, accuracy, and regulation. I might say FDA may regulate the use of ChatGPT in clinical research, and then I might give a couple of examples. For example, the FDA may say that using ChatGPT to answer subject or patient questions is inappropriate. Great. I've added my sort of expert thoughts to that write-up. Is that single sentence now going to push me out of this is not AI-generated content and therefore should be reprioritized? Or does it now go, nope, it's just one sentence in a full write-up, not good enough? In which case, do I need to rewrite 50%? Like, is the threshold 50%? Is it 10% but meaningful? Like, what does that mean? Not that you know, but still.
Yeah, I think that it's an excellent question. It's like, at what point, where's your independent thought, right? And I separate that from the SEO, right? Because one thing that would seem interesting is to try this. I'm going to copy and paste this and say, please provide an SEO friendly 1 paragraph version of this. I don't know what's going to happen.
Me neither.
So
it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's tight, right? So I don't know if this is SEO friendly. If I'm right, but it says confidently, sure, here's one. So now, is it better than this in terms of hitting? I have
no idea.
Yeah, this is way tighter, right? But again, the better you can tell, the more constraints you give on this, the better, right? So if I say, go ahead.
I kind of see this or compare this to like a really confident high schooler.
Yeah.
And I kind of go, give me an SEO friendly 1 paragraph version of this. And it gave this to me. If I don't know what makes something SEO friendly, which I don't, I have no way of knowing whether this is accurate or not. So I would hope that something would have given me sort of, here are factors that decide whether something is SEO friendly. Number 1, it uses bullet points. Number 2, it does this. Number 3, it does this. And then it spits out the answer for me.
If it knows that.
Let's find out.
Oh, well, see? It just didn't put asshole at the end of it. It's like, so, but that's like well-structured.
But why was the previous one not well-structured?
No, it's telling me why this is. I could ask.
No, I'm saying it rephrased the previous one before that. So why was the previous one not well-structured, but this one was?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I think that's where you reach sort of the end of.
Right.
Like,
I kind of almost wish that they gave you like numbers so you could go, why is answer 2 not well structured, but answer 3 is?
Yeah. So this was another
take on it.
This might actually. Well, no, this talks only about the thing I gave it, not compare and contrast, which I could probably enter.
Right.
So, in fact, what the heck?
Excerpts. Yeah.
Yeah.
From an SEO perspective.
Use this one because
No.
I'm copying the wrong thing. Yeah.
Correct.
It's that on the fly flop sweat. There we go.
That's interesting.
Yeah. No, you can read it if it's full of itself or not. But yeah. So first excerpt more. Yeah. True.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Dave.
Yeah.
We have hit the end of our timeline, which is ridiculous because I thought we'd get a chance to get into Bard, get into some of the other topics. Sorry, get into ChatGPT and some of the other topics, but just gives us a reason to come back around and talk about this a little bit further.
There we go. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I think use go to ChatGPT and do an actual kind of pharmaceutical example. But I think this was useful. Just in our going to, would you like to see Dolly real quick, or would you like to wait?
Yeah, please. Let's see Dolly just to give people a taste.
Yeah, because this is the edge of creepy, in the best possible way. So share that, and
so give me a picture of the Pope wearing the latest Paris fashions.
it gives you something to look at while it's generating.
I didn't realize it's an OpenAI one as well. That's interesting, but not what I expected.
No, we didn't get him wearing that puffy jacket.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for the puffy jacket angle.
Yeah. Yeah, if I
a photograph, yeah.
Now we might actually see the Pope. No, that's a Pope.
I also don't think it's particularly responsive.
No,
because it's not the latest Paris fashions.
It's not. And so
let's do Pope John Paul II, just for argument's sake.
Or we're just not up on our latest. Oh, that one choked it. It is amazing that it does any of this. Yeah.
Impressively enough, none of those are John Paul II.
But he is sporting.
He's something. He's sporting something.
Looks more like what was the Benedict? Yeah.
Was that Benedict? Huh.
It looked like him, but I don't think it was. So
see, there are two interesting parts to this.
Yeah.
The first is it obviously doesn't know who John Paul II is.
No.
And it obviously doesn't know fashion. Though I will say it does try. Yeah. While holding a cat. The other part is, what if we called it, give me a photograph of Pope Ferdinand the 14th. Would it know that there's no such thing as Pope Ferdinand the 14th?
I think it. Well, let's find out. '14th is.
That doesn't matter. Just I don't think there was ever a Pope Ferdinand. So anyhow.
Yeah, 14 in Roman numerals just spiked my brain for a second.
I think it's XIV.
XIV, yes.
But
So,
see, it didn't. Go ahead.
No, it suddenly all of the pictures are
Black and white.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
And of dubious quality, which I think is kind of interesting as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. So they're all it's basically 10 types of.
But it didn't quality check us.
No.
Again, speaking from a farmer perspective, it'll give you any answer you want and won't question you as to whether the answer is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or more appropriately, what we really wanted is the AI to go, sorry, Dave, I can't help you.
Exactly. Yeah. We've got this coming up, so let's see.
I want to see what that pulls up. That would be awesome.
Okay, we'll end on a high note.
That is a
Although
that is
would
a
have
fun way
been
to end this.
Feature Chong during Pride Week. But
That I like the second one.
Yeah, I mean, it gets you ish, right? It knew to do the rainbow.
So it knew what Pride Week was.
Yeah.
It didn't. It sort of guessed who Pope Ferdinand was.
Yep.
You know what? Let's do me a favor. Can you do a quick search to see, not like a Google search?
Yep.
Who is Pope Ferdinand? For all we know, there's a Greek Orthodox Pope called Pope Ferdinand. For all we know,
Somebody's asked that question.
that's Francis Benedict.
Ferdinand.
Oh wait, Ferdinand.
Won.
Oh.
So there was one. Didn't get a picture of him. But.
I mean, really, we're reaching for 1555.
Yeah. So that's why we got the old.
Let's try a different one, just because we've done this. Pope Madonna. There really shouldn't be a Pope Madonna out there.
No. So
theoretically,
we're either getting a pop singer or
is that?
That's not bad. Virgin Mary and
is that I'm not sure that's the Virgin Mary.
Might be a version. It looked closer to the Virgin Mary than it did
the pop singer. No, but I was thinking that there is actually Madonna and Child. So is it based on that?
But it looks like it's pulling like that looks fabricated. They're not using an actual picture.
Right. So for those people who are watching and just enjoying the weirdness of what we're doing, that's what we're trying to show you, which is this idea that AI is going to change the world. It's not ready for prime time in many ways, but it is coming. And it's not likely to take your job, but if you don't know how to use it, you'll be replaced by someone who does know how to use it to take your job. So I think of AI at this moment, at least, as enabling me to do the job of 3 people than instead of the job of 1.
Yeah.
But while a lot of people go, doesn't that mean that we're going to lose 3 people? And I would argue no, because so it didn't know what Ozempic was, interestingly.
It did not. Sorry, I thought I'd throw a quick pharma example in.
Yeah. But I found, so the way I've been using it, just for people who might be interested in the pharma part, I've been using it to do 3 times as much work.
Yeah.
As opposed to firing 2 people.
Yeah, same with us. It's like it just allows us to take on more projects with a shorter duration. Yeah.
So what do you think about this next generation coming out? And what I mean by that is they're talking about things like it auto prompts itself. And it's really more in the ChatGPT world, and it's not based on Bard. It's based on, I think it's called, I forget what it's called. Something's ChatGPT. But essentially you can go, make me a website that ranks #1 on Google. And it would basically keep auto prompting itself until it gets the desired result. Is that a successful, is that going to replace people as you see it?
No. To the extent that it is providing you with, to your words earlier, a first draft, it's just allowing the art director or the the front end coder to get something in front of you faster. Because at some point you still got to show it to the client.
Right.
So, the best part of this is I'd love to just set ChatGPT down with any of my historic clients and let them describe the commercial they want, and see how long it takes to blow up all the servers, right? Because it's just, again, you can only, these are tools. These are not replacements. Now, in 15 years, come back, right? Yeah. But right now, the challenge is going to be, from an educational perspective, are we teaching young content creators how to leverage this as a tool?
Yeah.
Right. And so why to use it, how to write a prompt correctly, how to go back and verify, what this changes workflow more than it removes people. Right. It just allows me to push more work through the same team.
Yeah.
Without, disrupting work-life balance.
I love it. We are well past time, Dave. But thank you so much for coming on. And again, Dave, just as a reminder, how can people reach you?
So I am on Twitter at Dave Bulger. I am at Dave.Bulger at wearetuzag, TUZAG.com. Those are the best places to get me.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to this episode of Darshan Talks. Remember, the information we discuss is for educational purposes only and is not legal advice. For additional valuable insights and updates, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at DarshanTalks.com. Darshan Talks is powered by the Kulkarni Law Firm.